I want to talk about something that I think most business people would agree is decidedly unsexy, and that is accounting. I'm encountering an increasing number of companies that just are not making accounting a priority, and it's leading to potentially disastrous results. I'm running into companies, sometimes after they've become clients, that can't produce an accurate financial statement in a timely manner, like it takes months for them to do it, if they can do it at all. And this is just devastating. And I understand that accounting is not sexy. Unless you work in an accounting firm, you probably didn't grow up with accounting being your life's passion, your life's mission. But you just can't run a viable business without it. And I'm encountering this with an increasing amount of frequency, both in the United States and Europe, where companies are running themselves kind of the way that some households used to, back in the 20th century, where they thought that as long as they still had checks in the checkbook, they must still have money in the bank account. And if you're under 30, ask your parents what a check is. But you just got to pay attention to this stuff. And I know it's not sexy. And look, I'm not the world's best accountant. In fact, I might be in the running for one of the world's worst accountants. I don't even do my own taxes. But it's a mistake to skimp on this very important function. And here's some of the reasons why. First, once you get behind in accounting, it is a lot tougher than you think it is to catch up, to get all the transactions in there right and try to remember kind of what happened, track down emails, receipts, invoices, whatever it is a much more difficult task than you would think. When you fall behind in accounting, it really puts you behind an eight ball. Second, the lifeblood of good decision making is good information keeping. And without good accounting, you simply are not in a position to be a good decision maker. Now, you might still make decisions that could turn out well, but that's going to be more due to luck than they are due to great decision making, because when you make decisions that aren't based on fact, it is going to be luck that's going to carry the day. And everybody's luck runs out at some point. Ask anybody who's ever gone to Vegas. At some point, the winning streak is going to end. And then if you're trying to raise money, you're trying to sell your company, you got to be able to produce financial statements that are accurate and in a timely manner. And if you can't do that, it not only creates a massive blind spot for you in terms of trying to understand the value of your own business, it tells a buyer or an investor that you don't know what you're doing, that you don't pay attention to detail, and you don't sweat the small things. And although a book like Chicken Soup for the Soul tells you not to sweat the small stuff, investors and buyers do sweat the small stuff. In fact, many of them would tell you that fortunes are made or lost on the margins of the small stuff. So if you're lax on your accounting and you think it's not a problem, I promise you that it is. It just hasn't manifested itself. It's not coming back to bite you yet. So what do you do if you're behind on your accounting or if your accounting systems are not working? Well, one, if you're DIYing it, stop trying to DIY it. The world of accountancy is increasingly complex. AI can be a reasonable advisor. It is not yet a replacement for accounting. It's a good power tool, and I know some people that are doing some really interesting things with it. And in particular, there's a guy out there named Sander Abernathy, who I think is one of the leaders in implementing artificial intelligence in accounting. But I'd be shocked if he would tell you that accounting is a viable replacement for a controller or a CFO or even really a strong bookkeeper, but I'll let him comment if he decides to watch this video. Get somebody in there who knows what they're doing. And if you can't hire somebody full-time, make it part-time. Get somebody in there who's at least fractional, at least somebody who can keep on top of debits and credits on a daily basis and can show you what button to push in QuickBooks or Xero or whatever system you're choosing to use that can give you reasonably accurate and sensible and comprehensible financial information. And then as your business gets stronger, resist the temptation to let accounting lag. I don't think you need to hire a CFO right away. I don't think that a company with less than $5 million of revenue truly needs a CFO unless you've raised a ton of venture capital, in which case then you might. But a controller will work, part-time controller will work just as well for most small companies. And pay that controller, pay that person, not just to execute the mechanics of accounting, but also to document the processes. Why? Because that person is not going to be around forever. How do I know this? Because none of us is around forever. One way or another, we're not going to be in the same place that we are 5 years, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And if you have somebody doing your accounting without documenting the processes, you are at the mercy of that person, which leads to the final reason why you got to get your accounting right. If you don't have your accounting right, you have no idea if somebody in the company is stealing from you. And I'm here to tell you that it happens a lot more often than you think it does. We live in a time now where I think business ethics are not as strong as they once were. I think we're living in a time where a lot more people are feeling economic desperation. And so they are much more susceptible to temptation. And the thing about when people steal from you, it never starts with a big theft, or almost never starts with a big theft. It almost always starts with something really small. And then once somebody gets away with it, it's another small thing, and maybe something slightly bigger, to the point where it can take years before that's ever detected, if ever. But if you don't have a competent accounting function, you don't have robust accounting processes, not only are you not going to be able to detect theft in a timely manner, you probably won't be able to put together the evidence necessary to even fire that person for cause, let alone try to prosecute and seek restitution. So look, I have not been affiliated with an accounting firm for over 3 years now. I have no dog in the fight. If you want me to value your business and hand me a shoebox full of receipts as a way of trying to figure out what the valuation is, that's fine. I'm just going to charge you more. And I'm going to hire my own accountant to kind of figure that out. But there's really no reason for it. Accounting is just one of those meat and potatoes functions. It's not sexy, but every business must have a strong accounting function in order to be considered a viable business. So if you think that you're kind of behind in that area, you want a referral, contact me privately, leave a comment below. I'm happy to turn you on to some resources that can help you on either side of the pond, frankly. And it's not going to be me. Again, I'm not an accountant. I don't do my own taxes. I don't make any money of this. But what I desperately want is for every company to succeed, or at least given how hard it is for companies to be successful, don't make things harder on yourself than they absolutely have to. The first hire I made actually for my company was a part-time controller, one of the best decisions I ever made. And because of that decision, we're in a position to make much better decisions. And I think it's a big, big reason why we have been able to grow, even though she's not connected with sales at all. But because of the information that we get that we can make good decisions on, we're not making mistakes, and we're not making our lives harder on ourselves than they need to be. So that's it. That's what I think. Tell me what you think. Leave a note in the comments below, and we will see you next time. Have a great weekend.